Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be joined by Congressman Dave Joyce. Hi, how are you?
I'm great, Molly. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm super great, super great. Happy Monday, if that's what day, if that's what day it is.
They all do tend to blend together. Urge to break.
They sure do. They sure do. So how are you doing? I'm going to go on a personal level. How are you doing personally?
I've been in a little bit of, you could tell a little bit of a self-quarantine since I went back to D.C. I had to fly to make sure I got back there in time. And then, being in a large room with all those folks and, because my office building is where a lot of the outbreak had occurred, I just don't want to make sure I don't get anybody else sick. So that's why I felt important the first week going out and helping folks like at the food bank or delivering mail or doing other things and staying out in the community. And then the one thing I will tell you, I did try to give blood, but you got to make an appointment. They won't, there's no walk-in. Yeah. And you look now, I mean, most are filled up for the next week or two.
Okay. Gosh, that and groceries. Got to get an appointment in. So yeah, speaking of all those delivering mail and very, very active that you were doing, you were with a food bank, I think it was the Cleveland Food Bank, and you were at an elderly care facility delivering their mail. And and this was a couple weeks ago, but how are people doing out there since all of us are isolated? We haven't had an opportunity to get out there. How is everyone's spirits out there?
People are united in that it's adversity that makes America stronger. And this is one of those times where people realize we're all in this together. And the thing with the mail was I called around to other nursing homes. Nobody seemed to be having a problem, but here they wouldn't let the postman, the postmaster in his vicinity there in Hudson, wouldn't let him have his temperature taken. And so, and both at food bank and there, I had my temperature taken. And, the rain, sleet, snow, but get your temperature taken. We can't let you go inside the building and deliver. And the seniors are frustrated. And, a lot of them really care about their mail, and that's how they stay in contact. They may not be as network savvy as the rest of America. So they count on those cards and letters from loved ones. And so it was important that they get their mail, and the people were waiting outside their boxes. I'm on the inside. And luckily I had a conference call, so I just put my headphones in and passed out the mail, and it gave me a sense of accomplishment as getting it all done for one day and making some folks happy. But other folks in Hudson City Council have been doing a wonderful job getting it done. And really it's sort of incumbent upon the nursing home itself to get it done and make sure that they take care of the seniors and get them their mail.
They are doing a great job. I know my dad is at an elderly care facility out here. He has dementia. And, it's hard for them to understand this right now, especially with that disease, because change is so difficult for them. So I applaud all the nursing homes for really adjusting and pivoting and allowing the families to see them just in a different way. We Zoom a lot with my dad, and although he probably doesn't, he probably thinks he's watching a movie of me or something, but at least.
Best looking actress he's ever seen.
Yes. No, he keeps wanting to press the red button. And I keep hearing the nurse say, no, don't press that button. Don't press that button. You had posted, and if you're not following Congressman Joyce on Instagram, I suggest you do. You posted a very eerie picture of you on a plane, which just made me realize how important it was to you to make sure that you got to DC for that stimulus package vote. What was going through your head during that time to get there to DC and do what you needed to do?
Well, first off, we don't have anything in our rules. As a matter of fact, our conference rules specifically designate that we're not allowed to vote anywhere except in the chamber. And so when you're passing a bill of this size, as you noticed, we had one person objecting to it, which made us all come in the first place. But it would have opened us up for litigation if we didn't do it properly. And we don't need litigation. We need to get these folks who need it relief. And the one way we could do it is getting the money back to the states that we represent, so that the states, each one is facing a different problem, or same problem, I guess, in a different varying degrees. Obviously, New York is much worse than Ohio, But, again, Mike DeWine, God bless him, and Dr. Acton has taken such a positive leadership role that the one thing we could do is a delegation, and we stay in touch with them, have weekly calls with the governor, and I certainly have his cell and his email. We stay in touch to let each other know, this is what we're getting from, how can we fine tune it to make sure it's getting delivered to you and to the people who need it the most. So it was important I went. That's the reason for the self-quarantine now, with much to my wife's chagrin. She probably wishes I was back out doing something and making me feel active in the community. But, we all realize that it's important that we did this, and all the folks who were there. What really struck me, Molly, though, is, we're talking about senior homes, was the fact that I was walking over to vote with a friend of mine from Illinois, and he said, I could strangle Tom Massey, and that was the guy who made us all come back. And he said, I had to wait 14 days to see my dad who lives next door because he's 86. And now I got to go back and wait another 14 days. And I sure hope he's around when we get back there. And that part really hit home for me. It was like, wow. Yeah, that was pretty selfish on Thomas's part. But, we got that relief done. If we have to do it again, there's a lot of people on the front lines of this who suffer much more than we are. So you just take it in stride. We all do our jobs, and we'll get through this.
Yeah, we definitely have learned that not all heroes wear capes. A lot of them wear white coats, and we've learned that throughout this whole thing. And I'm a fan of Dr. Atkin and Governor DeWine. I've watched other governors, and wow, are we lucky? Are we lucky of his leadership? So how is your
opportunity? If you see some of these graphs, look at New York, look at New Jersey and the spike, and look at Ohio. I mean, I get it that they still want people to stay at home and they want to keep all these things in effect, but we're doing a hell of a lot better than probably 49 other states.
We are, and my daughter lives in New York City, and her boss happens to be Christian Siriano, who made the masks, and he's a designer who made the masks in New York City, and he just is an amazing boss because he let her come home and work. She's doing all her work from home, so we were happy to go pick her up and get her home quickly before all this got worse. How's your staff doing?
Well, thank you. They're all working admirably at home. And it's funny because we stay in touch. They all have a meeting first thing in the morning. And then as I'm going through with people here at home in the district and figuring out what our problems are, I'm getting them the information to them so then they can research with which governmental agency we can have, get help to or get answers for them. A lot of it last week was initially on getting out the money for the Paycheck Protection Plan and for the unemployment and for the SBA loans. And that stuff, it is evolving as we go along. The reason I had to pass on Friday and we were doing it today is because I was telling you that we had a call with Secretary Mnuchin. And as he was saying, the details just got out to these banks on Thursday night because I had small banks and credit unions asking me saying, hey, we have no guidance. How do we do this? And some of the other guidance on the 500 plus employees and how you verify the affiliations, that was coming out late Friday afternoon from him, but we still hadn't seen it. And as soon as we get that, we'll make it available to folks too, so they can make intelligent decisions in their businesses.
And we talked a little bit about that. I don't think that there's not a lot going on. It's just because each kind of business is branding the same information. So it looks like there's so many things. Where's the best place for a small business or a resident to go to get the information?
Well, in regards to the business, SBA.gov should have those resources on there online. Treasury.gov for financial institutions or bank, because that's where you'll get the guidance from. And the combination of those two, you should seek the guidance. And, if you're not sure, ask your accountant or lawyer for some help in getting through that. My people are not lawyers. I'm the only lawyer, and I did criminal work, so you probably don't want my counsel on small business. But you do want to make sure that you're doing it. And let's face it, good faith attempts. If there's a small mistake, we'll try to rectify it on your applications, or we're out to give people the benefit of the doubt, while also making sure there's no fraud. Because unfortunately, as we see, there's hucksters out there, and they prey on these times. but we want to make sure that people who actually need relief are getting the relief and as fast as they can. So the important part is make sure you work with your accountants and lawyers and bankers to get the information that they need and get it to your banks so they can queue you up. And as of this morning, I believe I heard it was over 500 billion that we pushed out on Friday. And so we'll get more. I mean, that unfortunately, trying times, we're going to do what's necessary to get the money to make sure we get through this. And then we got to cure the problem on the other side. But the important part is let's get all through this first.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And being a politician, as you are, face to face and shaking hands and kissing babies is, it's what you do. How are you pivoting to make sure that your constituents know that you are here still for them?
Well, politics has nothing to do with this. I mean, some of these, when you listen to some of these press conferences, some of these folks, maybe a guy from New York, a governor or something, they turn into more of a political rally than they should be. My job right now is to provide leadership to the people in this district and to the people who need the help, and make sure that my leadership is heard in D.C. to make sure we have the wherewithal and get the funds back to take care of Ohio. The leadership presented by Governor DeWine again and Dr. Acton has been tremendous as far as containing the disease. And then business-wise, we just need to get through this, make sure that the sick people are getting the help that they need, small businesses and all businesses are getting the help that they need so we get through this and have the ability to fight and come out of this. There was nothing wrong with our economy going into this, but for the coronavirus or COVID-19 or the pandemic. Once we get through this, we'll soar like an eagle. Once again, it's just a matter of getting to that other side together and whole. Now, some businesses are going to be troubled and maybe not make it. But, remember, the unemployment rate was at record lows. The one problem I heard throughout the district had been employees, people trying to find employees. So while the job you had may not be there because they couldn't make it, there's going to be jobs, plenty of jobs available. And there's jobs available right now in this market. A small business teletown hall I did last week, Marty McGann from the Cleveland Growth Partnership was saying right now you've got your grocery stores, your Walmarts, your delivery folks, they're all hiring because the deliveries, and thank God those people also frontline of all this have not stopped doing their jobs to make sure that at least we're, in some cases, too well fed.
Oh yeah, everybody's on the Corona 15, that's for sure. So during this downtime, have you picked up any hobbies over there? You picked out, grab the bassoon that you've been dying to learn for 20 years?
I've the girls stopped and they went into Dick's yesterday and got pickleball. So we're setting up pickleball in the driveway. So we're gonna, so we got 4 of us now. And I can imagine in this house, I said we better get some more pickleballs because as competitive as our family is, I'm sure they're going to be all over the yard.
I've never heard of pickleball.
It's a form of tennis / racket, paddle tennis. It's a paddle tennis type racket, but it's got like a wiffle ball that's you use, but it's set up with a net and like a tennis court. So chalk outline of the tennis court is going down on the driveway today. It was a little too cold yesterday, but we figured we'll have competition later this afternoon.
That's so funny. You need to give your address out so that people can stand at the end of the drive and watch it. And what
It'll be ugly.
Any binging that you're doing?
I've been doing watched a HBO's thing on the elections and election security, which was very interesting yesterday. And I've also been finishing up some. I have a problem with on planes. I always have a plane book. And so I've got a bunch of books that I was like 3/4 or 2/3 of the way through. So I'm just finishing up an autobiography of Mitch McConnell, which is very interesting. And you may not know this, but Mitch had polio when he was a kid.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. So he brings an interesting insight into having something like that and growing through that. And his mom taking care of him and getting him through that problem. So and you have a better appreciation for his style as you read his book.
Interesting. I'll have to check that one out. So now that we're almost done here, if there was one thing that you would want to say to everybody listening, what would you say?
I'd say listen to the advice that's being given out by Governor DeWine and Dr. Acton. and stay inside. As we did in the office, we made in the beginning a decision to make sure we referred everybody who was asking questions about the illness to the Ohio sites because they're doing it right. And so if you need anything else, it's cdc.gov, which is for the disease control. But if I really think Ohio, the Ohio Health Department, and the websites that they're putting out there every day when he has his briefing at 2:00, it may be TMI for some folks. But the thing is, if you look again at our stats versus other states and look at the amount, every death is painful. But you look at the amount of ours compared to other states, the leadership that's been provided in this state has been fine. And we're going to continue to abide by that. We continue to abide by the stay-at-home orders as best we can, and only out for emergency stuff like food and supplies and pharmaceuticals. And then the businesses, we're going to be there to help. This isn't ugly, and it's going to be a bad month. It's going to be a bad quarter. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, and we're going to come out on the other side of this a stronger, more united country, and we're going to exchange information with other countries that had this issue and how they best dealt with it. And we're going to have something like every other flu vaccine. We're going to have a vaccine for this, and this too will be put in its place. But let's keep that spirit about us that we're all in this together. We're one country. We all share the same planet. There's no planet B, and that we all are in this together. We'll win this fight as we've won every other fight in America's history.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Well said. Well, thank you for your time. I know you're super busy, so we appreciate you taking a minute to sit down with us and chat.
And Molly, keep posting those restaurants that are open, and we got to help those. I go around and try to eat out every now and then just to help those men and women who are struggling to get by. I know it's tough right now, but I tell you, it's some of the best takeout food in America is right here in the Valley.
Yes, we agree with that, and thank you for supporting the gift card, the Great American Gift Card purchase, which we're going to do a take 2 coming soon. So, so we appreciate your support as well.
Glad to help.
And take care of yourself and be well, and pet the dog for us.
Will do. I think he can't wait till we go back to work so he can stop getting walked.
That's been the common thread about it. We're going to have the healthiest dogs around. I love it. Well, thanks for your time. We appreciate you.
Thank you for all you do, Molly.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye. You too.